You only have one video, right, Cathy? I'm pretty sure that's right.
Too much?
Too much?
Needed, but not wanted. I appreciate it, but they say, no, thank you. Yeah.
Where do you mean?
Okay, so I didn't get the plants. I didn't. I hope they all their sons have gathered their plants.
Well, I had all these friends that wanted to give a position.
So yeah,
Maybe watch live, but they will come in at any time and watch on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping that would make
you
I'm sure you had something to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure she did too. When they're singing, you like. So if you mute me, I will not be able to
That mic, you will be using.
Yeah.
Brand new mic, use it very well, just speak in the general vicinity.
Okay, thank
Yeah, very well.
Right.
Let me ask you this.
And that's my wife. That's my wife. President-elect. Yes, that's our police director. We haven't seen him. All right, we're gonna go ding ding. Ding ding. Ding ding ding.
So it's going to be, the words are going to be up here, so it's hard to see, but oh, great. Good. This is the card that has
That's what it is.
this has to be our
Right.
Yes, that's recent. Yeah. Oh. Hey.
Yay, that's great.
It was you from across the room.
Those are our TV lights.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Cathy and I'd like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka for this Sunday, May 15th, 2022. On this special day, we'd like to give a special welcome to the children of the fellowship who are returning to us after a 2-year absence due to COVID. They will have their moment shortly with a story shared by our new Director of Religious Exploration, Aaron Forstein. And also a special welcome to our guest speaker, Reverend Peter Luckey, and of course to all of you here and at home. We're going to begin with our chalice lighting by Walt Racker.
Good morning. I light the chalice this morning for the children of Ukraine and for the victims of yesterday's shooting in Buffalo, New York. This is from a letter by St. Paul to the early Christians of Corinth, King James Version, chapter 1 Corinthians 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, though I have all faith so that I could move mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity.
Next, we're going to sing, and we now have permission from the board to sing out loud, so you can use your voices. The words are going to be in a video, so you can either stand and sing, or sit and not sing, or do whatever you want to. But the song is "Come Sing a Song with Me," and we are using it with permission from the Kitsap Unitarian Church in Bremerton, Washington. So come sing a song with me. Hopefully.
Sing a song with me. Come sing a
next, Aaron is going to bring the children up, and we'll have a children's story.
Hang on. Working on it. Oops. And there you go.
Good morning. Children, if you'd like to come up and sit up here, you may. You do not have to. But if you would like to, you can. Our story for all ages today is Love Grows Everywhere by Barry Timms and Tisha Lee. And I believe, yes, the pictures will be shown up above. So if you're sitting out there, you'll be able to see just as easily as the children up here. Love grows everywhere. And this is how the story goes. Love grows everywhere. Actually, can I just read it like this? Can you look up there? Okay, good. From country farm to city square, from desert village, hot and dry, to mountain home where eagles fly. Love grows any place. It doesn't need a fancy space. No matter if the walls are bare, love only needs our thought and care. Yes, thought and care are all love need to help it grow like tiny seeds that might seem nothing much at first, till up into the light they burst. Look how happy that little child is that the plant is growing. Love will find a way to brighten any cloudy day. A gentle hug, a perfect kiss, a song to bring back times you miss. A moment shared, a helping hand when things don't turn out quite as planned. A funny joke to bring good cheer, a kind word whispered in your ear. Love grows on the street and reaches out to those we meet. A neighbor from across the way, a friend from school who'd like to play. But there are others we might see who need our help or charity. As flowers turn towards the sun, love's friendly smile greets everyone. Love lifts hearts and minds and comes in many different kinds. The kind that grows in peace and shade, the kind too bright to ever fade. There's love so great it fills the room, and love that takes its time to bloom. But each is precious from the start, a miracle that melts the heart. Love may hide away when times are hard and skies are gray, when hope seems nowhere to be found or buried under stony ground. But if we're brave, perhaps we'll dare to show how much we really care. A kind of magic happens then, and love begins to grow again. Love grows everywhere. enough for all, a gift to share, budding, branching, leaves unfurled. Love will make a brighter world.
And since we're allowed to sing, we're going to sing the children out with our Go Now in Peace. So, go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you
may go.
go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. I think Aaron has a voice like velvet. Wow, wow. Okay, well, it's time for some announcements, and I have three. The first is that there will be a Defend Roe rally today from noon to 1 o'clock at the Capitol building. Rallies have been held all across the country this week and will likely continue. Today's rallies are being held in all 50 states to show national support for Roe versus Wade. Also announcing that next Sunday we will be hearing about our 8th UU principal from Bobby and David Schaeffer. And on May 29th, we'll be having our first true intergenerational program that will include RE graduation, senior recognition, volunteer recognition, and a cookout, I think a hot dog cookout following the service. So hope you'll all plan to come for that. Are there any other announcements? Yes. Carolyn?
Just going to pass around the clipboard to sign up for usher and greeter volunteers, and there's room to sign up through July 10.
Thank you.
And I'll put a pin on it.
And for joys and concerns, Walt handed me this one to announce that Shelby Fehrenbacher has asked us to share the good news that she is now engaged to John Serrano. So, are there other joys or concerns to share?
Say that again.
Shelby Fehrenbacher is now engaged to John Serrano. Any other announcements or joys or concerns? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take the offering, and while we're having the offering, we're going to have Greg Monaco come up and give us an update on the Ministerial Search Committee's activities. So, Greg?
Thank you, Cathy. And I'd also like to thank the members of the Interim Search Committee, Susanna Emilio, Adele Racker, Jana Cook, Don Chronister, Bobby Schaeffer, and Linda Lucero. And so as far as an update, we had a candidate, went through the process recommended by the UUA, and this morning voted yes to respond to that individual and to convey that as the interim minister. It's my understanding, and you can check with board members about that, there are several other processes that need to happen following that, but the first step is for the search committee to make a recommendation, and our recommendation is yes for this individual. You can also talk with any of the other committee members if you have any questions or want to know more about the process that we followed. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. In 2019, Reverend Peter Luckey retired from serving as a senior pastor at Plymouth Congregational Church, the United Church of Christ, in Lawrence, Kansas. One of the key accomplishments of his ministry was leading the congregation through a process where the church declared itself to be an open and affirming congregation in 2004. In 2014, Plymouth held one of the first same-gender weddings in Kansas. During the height of the pandemic, Reverend Luckey served 15 months as the interim pastor of Kansas City United Church of Christ. Currently, Peter divides his time between life coaching, writing, preaching, and spending time with his two granddaughters. Peter is married to Linda Luckey, and they make their home in Lawrence, Kansas. So, Peter, please welcome Peter Luckey.
Wow. It's great to be here, to come in the rain and to sing about the rain and look out at your beautiful peace garden. It is just wonderful to be here among you. And thank you, Cathy, for inviting me and including me and bringing me here. So I want to just start off and say, I'm a UCC pastor and I'm preaching in a UU congregation. But we're all family because we're branches of the same tree. The same tree, which is those radical New Englanders who chafed under the domination of bishops and doctrine and dogma and hierarchy of England and broke away and came over to these shores to create our own voluntary communities based on religious freedom, freedom of faith. We believe that we don't need bishops. We don't need a hierarchy. We can come together ourselves as a community to discern God's Spirit among us and the path that we might proceed in. So, friends, we are all part of one family, UCC. We come from the same place. Came from the same tree. And I want to just say, I don't know a tremendous amount about the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka, but what I do know is amazing and impressive. Because I know that your pastoral leadership and some of you have been on the forefront of social justice and taking courageous stands. And yes, full disclosure, I have been there at the State House with Pastor Sarah sitting on the floor of the rotunda in front of the governor's office, and we were making a ruckus and chanting and singing. And if you wanted to find me in the crowd, it was easy because I was the worst singer. I cannot sing. But no matter, when we were there in the State House, our spirit was filled. It was as if that mural of John Brown holding the Bible in one arm and holding the Beecher Rifle Bible in the other, it was as if the John Brown spirit had taken hold of our vocal cords and given us strength and courage. You know, I've been thinking a lot about the battles that we've been facing and that we have faced in the state of Kansas. The great story of our state, and the battle for freedom, for abolitionism of slavery, thinking of John Brown. Oh, our ancestors came out to this land because they believed that slavery was an abomination in the eyes of God. Such passion for freedom. And realize that today that still that same battle is taking place among us. Different forms and shapes, but it is still the same battle. And I don't know about you, but I know about myself that at times I feel overwhelmed by the news in our world today. I feel overwhelmed, and I think, where do we put our time and our energy and our resources? Battling on the one hand, people that want to ban books for our children in education, and other people that want to ban what women can do with their bodies. The battle for authoritarianism, against authoritarianism in the Ukraine by Napoleonic Putin, grabbing out and taking a sovereign nation with no more thought than grabbing into reaching a candy jar. It is our battle not just for authoritarianism abroad, but authoritarianism that's taken place in our own country. Some of you, we all remember January 6th. And it is a battle on behalf of human dignity, a battle on behalf of human freedom, our human rights, and most especially people of color, indigenous people and people in our LGBTQ community. It's a battle on behalf of women. And here in the state of Kansas in August, there's going to be a referendum which is going to recommend to the state legislature, if it passes, that the state legislature could, if Roe versus Wade is overturned, could basically, in effect, ban abortion throughout the state of Kansas. So, oh my gosh, are you feeling overwhelmed? I am overwhelmed. There's a voice in my head that says, you know what? You've got to pick your battles. You got to pick your battles. So, just a short story. I have a very, very dear friend of mine, one of my very, very best friends, was driving in a car with his teenage daughter. She's about to graduate from high school. And I'll call her Mary, not her real name, but to protect the innocent. And Mary was incensed. She was enraged by her speech teacher. And she said to her dad, she said, Dad, this guy is the most misogynistic, sexist pig I've ever met. And you know what? The next time we have class, I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell him what for. Well, Mary was about to graduate. The grades weren't in yet. Dad says to Mary, Mary, you know, sometimes you've got to pick your battles. And Mary, without missing a beat, looked at her dad and said, Dad, I picked this one. Pick your battles. I want to just suggest a thought to you that may be helpful for all of us that are feeling overwhelmed in our world today and wondering about all these battles and which ones do we pick and how do we choose. And I want to suggest to you this morning that in so many ways, whatever battle you pick is the right one. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're all the same battle. And it's a battle for life. It's a battle for life over death. And it's a battle on behalf of love, because love is the greatest force that the world has ever known. As Aaron was sharing the story about growing love here, that is the greatest force we've ever had. It's the force for life. And the battle that we have before us today is the battle for life and love, which is really the very essence of life, over and against fear and death. And by the way, I forgot to read the lesson today. I got so excited about sharing my message with you that I got to read the lesson. And listen to these words. And these are the words about love and the battle for love, which is what we're talking about this morning. This is from 1 John chapter 4. And here, listen to 1 John's words. God is love. And those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. Love has been perfected among us in this way, that we may have boldness on the day of judgment, because He is, so are we in this world. Then listen to this. There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. We love because He first loved us. Those who say, I love God, and hate their brothers and sisters are liars. For those who do not love a brother or sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. The commandment we have from Him is this: those who love God must love their brothers and sisters also. That's the very essence of what I want to share with you, my friends, this morning. There is no fear in love, for perfect love casts out fear. Whatever battle that we're involved in, it comes down to the battle of love. and life against fear and death. Now, I'm not talking about love and the sentimental Hallmark card, namby-pamby, sweet, sentimental love. That's all very nice and good. I'm talking about love that's fierce. I'm talking about love that's courageous. I'm talking about love that we might find in Jesus from Nazareth, who spoke truth to power, who embodied for us what it means to love in a world that is overwhelmed by fear and hatred. When I think about fierce love, and I think about the love that 1 John is talking about, love that casts out fear, I can think of no better example than what 1 John was talking about in writing his letter than a woman named Senator Mallory McMurrow from the state of Michigan. On April 19th, she stood up in the State House of Michigan and she embodied fierce love. Some of you have seen it. How many of you are familiar with Mallory McMurrow? Some of you are. Great. So, just briefly, for those who haven't heard, the context of it was that a fellow senator had written an email to her supporters, the fellow senator's supporters, a fundraising letter to try to get a couple extra dollars. And in the email, she named Mallory McMurrow by name as a person who had groomed and sexualized children. It was a complete lie. Mallory McMurrow stood up as a state senator and took the hatred on. And she said, and these are her exact words, "I am a straight, white, Christian, married, suburban mom who knows that the very notion that learning about slavery or redlining or systemic racism somehow means that children are being taught to feel bad or hate themselves because they are white is absolute nonsense. No child alive today is responsible for slavery. No one in this room is responsible for slavery, but each and every single one of us bears responsibility for writing the next chapter of history." And then she ended her 5-minute talk by saying, "Hatred wins when people like me stand back and let it happen." Hatred wins when people like me stand back and let it happen. And her final words is, "We will not let hate win." That's the battle, my friends. It's the battle on behalf of love for more life for everyone over and against the fear and the death and the hatred in our world. That is the battle. It's the battle enjoined by John Brown, that mural in the State House, the battle of freedom against slavery. It's the battle of life against death. Thousands of years before John Brown and before any of us, it was Moses the prophet leading the Israelites, themselves enslaved in Egypt, delivering his farewell address. And he said to the people of Israel, the ancient Hebrews, and perhaps you remember this, he says, "Now look, my friends, I have set before you the ways of life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life, that you may live." This is the battle. For love and life at the end of the day are the same thing. It's the battle that we are in. So I invite you this morning, and this is a sermon, it is a call. It is a call sermon. Fight on behalf of love. The battle for love and the battle for life. In the words of Parker Palmer, one of my favorite spiritual writers, he says, "Get in touch with your fierce love of life, everyone's life." Get in touch with your fierce love of life, everyone's life. For the trans student who, regardless of who they are and where they are on their journey, wants to be included and affirmed for the person that they are. For the young woman who finds herself suddenly pregnant with a child that she cannot raise and worries that doors are going to be quickly slammed shut and she doesn't know where to turn. And for the not so young woman in Ukraine a couple of weeks ago, badly wounded, 70-something, lying on a gurney in a Ukrainian hospital, her head swathed in bloody bandages, Russian shrapnel lodged in her body for the rest of her life. Friends, we're in a battle for life, for love, and for the force of love to bring life. So what does this all mean? What does it all mean? I think what it means are different things for different people and for all of us. And each one of us is going to respond differently for this and for this battle. Some of us are people that are on the front line. Some of us are going to be down at the State House, just a couple miles from here. That's where our place is. That's where our voice is going to be heard. But others of us have different gifts. And sometimes we can work for love and life in quieter ways. Some of us tending the Peace Garden out here in your beautiful church. For some of us taking care of a parent struggling with dementia, or raising children, or healing the earth by tending to our gardens, or even sending checks. We can all do something. We don't all have to do the same thing, but it's the same battle, you see? It's the same battle. And there are times when we become weary and tired. I get it. I feel drained and depleted and overwhelmed. And we feel like our spiritual cup is empty and we need it replenished. And for many of us, myself especially, I find it in nature. It may be at the shores of a lake, the sunlight rippling off the shores of a lake in the evening setting sun, or a hike in the Flint Hills just west of here or up in the mountains. Or maybe it's just tending to your garden on this amazing spring Sunday morning, nourished by the rain that has come, and the iris are blooming and the peonies are just amazing. And the cardinals are calling out for their mates. And all of this is opportunities to replenish our spirits. Whatever works for you, get in touch with your fierce love of life, of everyone's life. Get in touch with your fierce love of life, everyone's life. So, that woman lying on the gurney at that hospital in the Ukraine, they put her out in the hall to keep her away from windows that were exploding under mortar fire. That woman lying there, bandages bloodied, out in the hall on the gurney, Russian shrapnel in her body. The woman motioned to a cameraman, a reporter, to come over to her. And with a slight smile on her face said something to the effect of, "Come closer, I want to tell you a poem. Come closer, I want to tell you a poem." This woman lying on the gurney. And here's what she said. "These stupid Russian shrapnel pieces I will carry all my life. But as long as I carry them, I will live and love." It's the same spirit that we had on the floor of the rotunda at the State House in Topeka, me singing badly off key, but filled with the radical spirit of John Brown, singing for what lived in our hearts, which is the power of love, the force of life. Friends, yes, indeed, pick your battle, but know that it's all the same battle. It's the battle for life and for love. Amen.
We have time. If anyone has any comments they'd like to direct to Reverend Luckey, or now's the time, come up and speak into the microphone.
Thank you for that powerful message. My name is Rob Cook, and what resonated with me, a memory of a very touching and harsh movie called Saving Private Ryan, where a captain and his team went out searching for Private Ryan, the fifth, I believe, son after his four brothers were killed. And the captain was mortally wounded, and he lay there dying. And he brought Private Ryan close to him. He said 2 words: earn this. And the private had trouble hearing. He said, earn this. So the movie began with a grown and matured Private Ryan, and asking his wife, have I done okay? Because he remembered those 2 words from the captain: earn this.
Frank, did you want to make a comment?
Frank Taft, Reverend. I just wanted to thank you for an inspiring and cheerful sermon on such a gray, depressing day, and we appreciate your coming over.
Welcome.
Good morning, Deb Bledsoe. Thank you so much. Very stirring. Been a while. Okay. I did pick my battle. I picked my battle, and I chose to fight it with you. Everybody in here, I've been trying to choose life versus death, and I did it the Sunday after I saw Reverend Sarah, speak at the Women's March. Immediately after that obscenity was took office on. We got a little distracted maybe, but we can still earn this. Let's turn our faces toward what we want to do as opposed to what we don't want other people to do. And let's take these people on, because we can win. We're the only ones who can change. It's only people like us who will fight it. So let's fight it. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to go kick some ass.
On earning this, we stand here today because so many have sacrificed before us. Generations of men and women in every religion and every race in the world have battled for the freedoms that we now are facing being taken away. It is our time to earn this.
Thank you all. I think Reverend Luckey has some closing words for us, and then we'll all get together for coffee and conversation. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. It feels so good to be back engaged preaching, if you will. I call it preaching. But it just feels like this has really been a gift to me as well. So thank you for sharing in this gift. And I really feel that we're all in the same battle. Earn this. And, we may call God by different names. We may not even call God God. It's maybe a he or she, but it's the same struggle. And we are here to help each other, to support one another. God knows none of us can do it alone. We all need each other, and each of us have different gifts, and we want to respect each other's gifts. I just send you forth with these, and I'm unapologetically Christian, and these are the words that Jesus shared with his disciples as he was saying goodbye to them, and they were dealing with their own angst of being left by Jesus, being left alone on the last night that they shared a meal together. But these words have always been so profound for me, because I think it's more than just peace was the absence of conflict, but it's peace that is the core of our soul. It's shalom. It's that deep peace that transcends all earthly peace. And very, very important for me as I meditate every day and think about what does peace really mean, and how does peace begin with me in my own heart. So Jesus said these words. He said to his disciples, "My peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, but as I give. Let not your hearts be troubled, and neither let them be afraid." May the spirit of love be with you always. Amen. Crowd. It's great to be the people that feel like they're missing. It's not something. Well, it's just human beings, right? It's really it's great. Yeah, I'll stay for a little while and just talk to folks, and then thank you again. And we're glad to come again if you ever want. Yeah, we might. Once a month. Yeah, it's just great.